listeners.
It was going to be the best day of our lives. The last day of school always had a strange combination of humor, freedom, and remembrance. Teachers smiled once, rules appeared less enforceable, and everyone joked about how we would never have homework for the rest of our lives. But what happened that night is one that to this day I am unable to say without a chill. We were four. Me, Sam, Farah, and Josh. Childhood friends connected by secrets, fights, and shared pranks. In the last day, after all the photos have been taken and the valedictory speeches have been given, we stayed behind in the empty corridors, too nostalgic for us to go away. The school building felt strange in the silence. Without children rushing, without teachers' voices, it felt heavy, as if the walls had become 100 years older in one afternoon. Josh suggested that we go for a walk one last time. There was this old wing of the school that was off limits years ago, when one of the students had accidentally fallen down the stairs and died. The teachers never talked about it, but we all heard the gossip. The iron gates that led there always remained locked. That day, chance or not, or maybe intentionally, it was slightly open. We would have walked away, but teen curiosity mixed with the last day's energy is not a good combination. We shoved at the door and went inside. Dust was suspended in the air, heavy and foul, choking us. The light didn't penetrate this far, and the hallway smelled of wet wood and rot. Crushed desks littered the ground, frayed old posters hung from the walls. And the stairs, it was that one where the student died, towered in front of us, its railing snapped and tattered. Farah trembled and said we should not be here, but Sam, ever the courageous one, laughed it off. Come on. Just one more memory before we say adios forever. We followed. The quiet in that hallway was not natural. No birds outside, no traffic light. Nothing except the creak of our own footsteps and the very slight vibrating of our own breaths. Then Josh halted. He was staring at the wall. Faint indentations were etched into the plaster as if a sharp tool had marred it. Words, repeated and repeated, "I never left." We laughed nervously, thinking maybe seniors had done it as a prank. But inside, my stomach tightened. We climbed the staircase, one careful step at a time. Halfway up, Farah gasped. There was a shoe lying there, small, old, covered in dust. And yet, it looked out of place, as if it had been placed recently. Josh picked it up jokingly, but froze. The shoe was wet, not with water, but with something dark, sticky. His hand trembled when he realized it was blood, fresh. He released it at once, his face pale. We hadn't even had a chance to react when a noise emerged from above. A slow scratching, as if feet traveled over shattered glass, and whispering. Indistinct, yet recognizable. Children's voices, one upon another, muttering incomprehensible words. Sam whispered, There's nobody here, okay?" I was inclined to respond affirmatively, but I couldn't. The air grew cold. My breath misted. There, in mid-June, Farah gripped my arm hard enough that her nails stabbed me. We should have run. But something, I promise, something made us climb higher and higher, almost as if the stairs itself would not release us. The upstairs classrooms were in darkness. Broken windows, sharp pieces of glass littered all over, and there it was. There was a boy in the corner of the passage. His back was towards us. His uniform was tattered, worn out, dirty. His body was thin, excessively thin, like stretched skin over a skeleton. He was not moving, only remaining there, facing a wall. "Hello?" His voice broke. The boy turned his head, slowly. Not his body, but his head all the way around, his eyes black. His eyes black. His mouth stretched wider open than any human lip should possibly be able to. And out of it came that very same whisper, "I never left." Farah screamed. The boy was heading for us, each step slow and beady. We ran. Along the hallway, we stumbled while falling over shattered desks, scraping our legs over rusty nails. Regardless of how much we ran, we could hear the footsteps. Not one, dozens. Dozens of children running after us. We stormed into a class, slammed the door closed. My heart was racing. Josh was sobbing, muttering, "It's not real. It's not real." But we heard them scratching at the door, nails scraping down panels, and a kid's laughter. High, cruel. The old blackboard in the room creaked, words materializing upon it as though inscribed by some invisible piece of chalk. "Stay with us." The door thudded open. The boy was there, but this time he was not alone. Behind him, a dozen dark children lined the hallway, black eyes and all whispering simultaneously. We didn't think. We jumped out the broken window. The fall was brutal, yanking at my arms, taking the breath from my lungs. We were alive. We didn't look back. We ran. When we actually walked through the front door of the school, all was quiet once more. Normal. Teachers chatting, kids laughing in the distance, warm sunshine in our faces. But when we looked at one another, we knew. We didn't utter a word about what went down. It's years since we all went off and did other things. But every now and then in the evening, I hear them. That voice in my ear when there's no one else around. I never left. And last week, Sam called me, shaking. He said his younger sister walked in tears, carrying an old dusty shoe that she found in her backpack. A children's shoe, wet with new blood. We thought we got out that day. Perhaps. We didn't. Ibrar sent this second horror tale about a young soldier stationed for training. In Malakand in Artsinling RCE, his camp was across from a historic, deserted cemetery, the sort of spot that felt bad even during the day. Most evenings he and his friends would dine, chuckle, and explore outside the base. But one night he was walking alone just before midnight. The heavens were absolutely black. He stopped, startled. From the direction of the cemetery, a woman cried. Not soft, not remote. This was gut-wrenching, like someone was being tortured. Okay? He initially reasoned he was simply hallucinating. After all, there were no houses close by, no women, no families, only quiet and that accursed cemetery. But the shrieks got louder. Against every intuition, Ibrar seized his torch and went through the gate. Inside, the air was weighty, suffocating, and chilly, and there she was. Standing among the graves, a young woman of breathtaking beauty wept, tears streaming down her face. "I am lost," she whispered. "Please, Dot, bring me home." Her voice was soft but shaky. In that instant, she looked so weak that he lost his bearings. He forgot it was midnight. He missed the guidelines. He stretched out to lead her. His pals then approached the graveyard entrance, shouting, "Run! She's behind you!" Confused, Ibrar turned, and the lovely lady's face dissolved into something inhuman. Her skin darkened and charred as though burned. Her mouth extended open, screaming with a tone not of this world, and her once soft eyes changed fiery white. Ibrar tripped his torch and raced, her voice chasing him, reverberating across the dark. He leapt over graves, stumbling, lungs burning, while that shriek followed him all the way back to camp. He sat frozen for 2 hours, unable to move or to speak. Later, residents recounted him the legend, an half-human, half-animal creature permanently haunting that graveyard, sometimes carrying a severed head. Ibrar made it through, but he never returned to that graveyard again. Josh, the woman in the red sari, sent me this third terrible story. Josh has still another tale, also circulated with demon nightmares. He was from Chakwal. Almost 10 years ago, Josh was riding back home around Shir Sensor AM following a burial. The road was empty, the air heavy with shadows. He heard it then, a whistler, faint first, then once more, and yet still. Someone was calling out to him. He pedaled even more quickly. He caught her as he approached a little town under the faint yellow light of a streetlight. Standing alone, a woman dressed in a vivid crimson sari. She begged for a ride, smiled faintly, and called him son. Josh let her climb onto his bike against his better sense. But something was off. Her weight was intolerable, even though she seemed little and youthful. As she led him down increasingly dark and dismal lanes, the air turned chilly. She ultimately advised him to halt by a house. She whistled as she descended. The same whistle from earlier. Josh's blood went cold. He turned. She had vanished. Later, he saw her once again seated in the middle of the road. Her smile was too wide, and her eyes looked sunken and terrible only today. Terrified, Josh began praying loudly. Though his voice trembled, the figure slipped into the darkness as he let the words flee from his mouth. Later, residents warned him. This was the churel, a spirit said to lure men with beauty before murdering them. Her falsehoods, her scent, her whistle, everything draws the living. Josh got through the night, but never traveled that road again after midnight.